Hello Gears and Gaming fans, and welcome to another episode of Gears Intel, a Gears of War focused fan show talking all things Gears and Gears of War adjacent. We're on hand today to discuss some of the latest adjacent news and bring you the first in what is effectively a sub-series of the show, where we're going to be diving into a chosen video game which is unashamedly unashamedly wears the badge of being a Gears-like. These are games which may have drawn influence from, emulated, or straight up ripped off aspects of the Gears of War franchise. And dear listeners, we will give our thoughts, recommendations, or steer clear warnings. But before we get to that, I am your very weary host, KDB. And if you're watching, you will have already noticed. But for those listening, those uneasy wobbles you hear are because today we are missing one of the legs of our Gears Intel tripod. The trio is a man down, and today it's effectively...
The third leg, almost.
The third leg. Today it's a tag team twosome instead. So no Smiley David today, but I am joined by my fellow podcast host, Powerhouse. He has more electric in his hot takes than a AA battery. It is Mr. Double A himself, and no, that is not his OnlyFans alias. It's Mr. Alex Aldridge. How the flipping hell are you, sir?
Hello, Squire. Well, first of all, during the intro, I tried really hard not to put any stupid faces because you'll put them on the thumbnail. I think I still failed and did one anyway, so that was good. And it was weird that you brought up electric as well, because when I was in bands, like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, I used to get electric shocks off the microphone like every time I went near it.
Nice.
Like right in my lip. So they used to call me Electro Boy. So I think that's just, that's where these electric hot takes come from. It's just coursing through me.
Yeah.
I actually get it every time I stand up from my desk at work as well. I have to like hold on to the bottom of the seat to earth myself, otherwise I'm going to get shocked on the door on the way out.
Yeah, that's probably the carpets. Like, we have all stone floors at work, so I don't really get that issue. But definitely,
it probably is the carpets. Yeah.
In the old animation studio I used to work at, that we had carpets there, and not only was there carpets, there was hundreds of PCs and computers everywhere, so it was just everything was constantly charged, and you couldn't touch someone without getting zapped. So that was a wild time. Really annoyingly, and people watching on YouTube will see this, so I've replaced I didn't replace, my wife did, kind of without consulting me, has replaced the curtain in here with a blind, and if you can see that the blind obviously has holes in it, and there is a beam of sunlight, and I think it's just going to work its way across my face in the course of the podcast. So
video watchers can see how long this took, and if we did like loads of edits by seeing how far the line goes. It's like an old sundial.
Yeah, so that's really annoying.
I probably would, if I moved my head, everyone's going to get blinded by that as well.
And
my blind is totally down.
Yeah.
So they don't work, but it's a scam.
Yeah. Really annoying. Gonna have to sort that out. But yes, so as mentioned, today we're going to talk about some news in a sec, some brief news, but today is our first ever Gears-like episode. Just noticed my microphone is peaking a little bit. Hopefully it's not too loud. And we will be covering 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, a very interesting video game, a masterpiece, you might say, or not say, but we're going to get into it. Before we do...
I'd hold mine up, but it's already gone back to CEX in the post this morning.
Did you... we'll get to it. I wanted to bring up the manual. Did you flip through the manual before you...
Didn't come with a manual.
Didn't it? Oh,
fucking
that's
CEX.
a shame. The manual is the gift that keeps on giving.
I enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy if you lay some of that on me.
Yes, I will get to that. But so David isn't here. Usually I would pass to him for the cog hole, but I'm on cog hole duty. The cog hole is where we touch on Gears of War news, and there's not a load of news, but there was a couple of things I wanted to bring up before we dive into Blood on the Sand. Alex, obviously you will know that the past sort of month or so there was big Xbox hubbub and sort of wild rumours circulating that Xbox was going to start putting games onto rival platforms, which they did end up doing, and in the midst of those rumours there were people reporting that Gears of War might be going to PlayStation. Now, is this something you've ever thought about? Do you think, because we're not going to spend time really talking about Xbox and those other games, but just Gears of War specifically, these rumours popped up. Do you think it's a game that should go to PlayStation? Could it benefit from going to PlayStation, or do you want it to stay? Do you want it to stay loyal to Xbox and not let anyone else play it? What do you think?
I don't think we need to gatekeep Gears of War. I certainly think that if it was to be a primer for a Gears 6, or it was the Master Chief Collection, the Marcus Phoenix Collection coming out, and then going multi-platform as it comes out, just to get some extra bucks and some hype around the series, I'd have no issue with that. I don't see the point in just hawking all of the back catalogue onto PlayStation, other than, well, they only ever do anything for money, anybody.
Yeah.
But I never expected that it was going. I can't remember who it was that reported it, but it just felt like it would be really naive to expect Microsoft to actually give up any of the proper IPs that they've developed for many, many years, and it was always going to be something like Pentiment or Hi-Fi Rush, that's sort of a third-party drop, and then just give that to PlayStation. I don't know why. Where did these rumors come from?
So basically,
it was going to be Gears.
So it came from.
It wasn't Cliffy, was it?
No, no. So there were. It started when Xbox Era talked about Starfield going to PlayStation, and then Tom Warren.
I'd expect that. Yeah, at some point.
Tom Warren at The Verge then followed up saying that he had also heard that there were plans and discussions that talked about Gears of War and other games as well. And I think there was a couple of Xbox, influencers or insiders. There's, Xbox YouTubers and stuff who are some of them seem to have reliable sources, but then it seemed in this case some information got out and there was a bit of confusion, and the idea of plans and things actually being stuff that is in motion are two quite different things, and
exactly.
Yeah, so I think people just maybe got
that. Doesn't matter to YouTubers though, right?
No,
just the bait is all you need.
Exactly. And it's funny because I did a video for this for our channel last year. I did a poll on our Twitter account and said, and this was just during a quiet time, this is before any of these rumors, I asked people, said, do you think it should ever go to PlayStation? And the majority of people and that interact with us on the Gears Intel account were like, yeah, it should. It would be good for the player base. It would be good for the franchise. And I think you and I agree with everything you said. I obviously like Xbox and want Xbox to do well so I can keep playing on Xbox. But I don't, I'm not going to gatekeep it. And if Microsoft were to say, yeah, it's going to go to PlayStation, but don't worry, that doesn't mean we're not shutting down your Xbox and you can still play it here or you still get it here first, I'm fine with that. And so a lot of Gears fans that interact with us seem to be fine with it going to PlayStation. But I do think, like you, I think it's maybe more unlikely that the flagship IPs would go, because until the day comes that, those big Sony exclusives start coming over as well, which, might be a time that we're heading towards. It's all a bit weird at the moment. And even from like a legal standpoint, I don't know if you've read anything about this, like the EU is really clamping down on like exclusivity. And when it comes to like storefronts and how you basically restrict people to only buying through your storefront, and which means that,
like Epic, basically.
Yes, exactly. And how Apple will have to start allowing other apps to sell things through their, the App Store and stuff like that. It's I'm not an expert on it, but it's what I've read, and it feels like we're not there yet, but they are clamping down on this stuff, and there could be a future where where Game Pass and things like that are on the PlayStation Store, and PlayStation games are on an Xbox Store. So yeah, it's all a bit crazy out there, but it'd be good for the player base.
It's not a guaranteed. Yeah, but it's not a guaranteed hit for the player base, though, is it? It's not.
No.
If you look at where Gears is now and how long Gears has been around, we're talking 2006.
Yeah.
So you'd have to think that if there's a player base out there that doesn't already know that it's on Xbox and is also part of a Game Pass subscription for every single title. Mm-hmm. Then if they've still chosen to not play on Xbox at any point in time, in all those years, just where Gears has always been.
Would they even
I don't
play
know how
it?
many of them are still sitting and waiting for it to come to PlayStation.
Yeah.
You'd have already done it by now. So
Yeah.
I don't, it's a risk. It's not a guaranteed hit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they just didn't bother, and they put more recent and sort of
Smaller
buzzworthy
games.
indie titles
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, those games that they did put on made absolute sense for me, particularly Sea of Thieves, which is like, look, it's a 6-year-old live service game. I don't think it's gaining new players on Xbox.
Exactly.
Everyone that's going to play it and buy it has done that. So yeah, open it up to PlayStation. That makes sense.
Is it free? Is it free on PlayStation? Has it come out on PlayStation yet?
It comes out like later this month, I think, later in March.
Okay.
So yeah. I just wanted to touch on that because we were kind of holding off this episode because if the news had come that yes, Gears was going to PlayStation, that would have been the focus of our episode, you and David and I having a chat about that, but we held off, and the news kind of amounted to nothing. Nothing's really changing. A few small titles are going over. Xbox have put games on other platforms in the past. It's no big deal really. So for now,
really.
If you want to play Gears, you still have to get an Xbox or PC, obviously, if you want to play Gears 4 and 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, one other quick thing before we get into 50 Cent. On a podcast recently, so this was on My Perfect Console, which is a podcast I love.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah. Rod was on there just chatting about his career and stuff. He obviously heavily involved with Gears of War from the start, and he now runs Diablo, but he raised a few points about achievements in Gears of War, and he was saying how he was unhappy with the achievements in Gears of War 1 because they kind of ruined ranked multiplayer, because some of them were like, in ranked matches, get 100 chainsaws or kill 100 people with boom shots, and you'd be in ranked match trying to win the match, and then there's another guy just like, oh, I'm just trying to get the achievement, and then he'd just mess up the team play, which, is something I suppose that does make sense. It's not something that ever really affected my playing of the game back in the day. I mean, I definitely hunted those achievements, but it wasn't a big deal to me. But I just thought it was interesting for a couple of reasons. He said how he hopes that between Gears 1 and 5, you see a maturity in the achievements, and that it isn't stuff like that, which I thought was hilarious, because some of the achievements in newer games are utterly ridiculous, and I'm not sure who they're aimed at. But then also, I've had a video scripted since the start of January about achievements and achievements in Gears of War as well, and I've recorded footage for it, and I just haven't had the chance to put it together. And then now he comes out and talks about this, and I did a tweet about it to see what our listeners and followers thought about, and they were they agreed, really. They was like, yes, the achievements were dumb. But I don't know, did you have any thoughts on this achievements? Does it make any difference to you? Or have you encountered people ruining your matches because they're just out trying to chainsaw everybody?
I don't think I ever actually saw that, but maybe I think in all my years of achievement hunting that, which we were all into back in the early 2010s and slightly before, I don't think I ever really decided to put the fate of my achievement getting in that, at the mercy of online players, because I just thought this could so easily get ruined and frustrating. I used to actually just like actively be turned off by games that had loads of online achievements.
Yes.
Just like, well, this could take like 50 times the amount of time it would do for a single player one, because somebody else could just ruin it for me. So I didn't ever notice it. I mean, if I did notice somebody going in and chainsawing somebody, I probably wouldn't have, attached that to them trying to get the achievement. I probably just thought they were terrible.
Yeah.
But Rod obviously had the inside track and maybe realised why people were doing it 1,000 times. Yeah. But they can, I assume, guide players to do stupid stuff. I've got a friend at work who will not stop playing all the Yakuza games because he just has to get all the achievements and 100% all the games, and he's learnt all these stupid Japanese tile and card games. And I keep asking him what is the point and why he keeps doing it, but it's obviously still has a hook in some people. Yeah, you included. You and your buddy. Yeah, you're having a fight with.
Yeah, Steve from First Aid Spray. We're often challenging each other, and if you're listening, Steve, yes, just a reminder that I did beat you in February because I played Bluey right at the end of the month. So suck on that.
I mean, that's just you ruining your own life for achievement.
Yeah,
you're playing. You're not ruining someone else's multiplayer. You're just ruining your spare time by playing Bluey the game. Yeah, was that worth it?
I mean, it only took like 45 minutes, so...
Oh, that's good then. That's
maybe
good then.
Maybe a bit more, but yeah. my kid actually has it on Switch as well because he loves the show and he loves Bluey. And, you know, from a parental standpoint, Bluey is a fantastic show. As a video game, it's like, well, it's about what you'd expect. It's not. I'm not really the target audience, but I think it delivers.
Daddy, can we play it on Switch, please? No, there's no achievements on there. Get out of here.
Well, the thing is, I told him it came to Game Pass. I was like, oh, do you want to play it? Underhandedly trying to manipulate him into getting the achievements for me. And he's just like, no. So I had to play it myself.
Child labour, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. He wasn't interested. But yeah, I agree about the online thing as well. You know, Xbox achievements, I can think of games, because I do like to get as many achievements as I can, but also I don't have the time to, like you say, study Japanese and learn these Japanese
the dopamine hit
cartoons.
Still works.
Yeah, they do, and I like
but the time sink isn't there.
No, and playing online, I think maybe online achievements should be separated out from offline achievements or campaign or whatever. I do think Xbox is missing a platinum equivalent. I think that's something lots of people have wanted. I was playing Tomb Raider Remastered, and it's so fucking annoying because loads of the achievements are worth like 5 gamer score. I think it has 4,000 or something across the whole 3 games, but loads of them are like 5 gamer score for stupid little things.
God.
And it's like, I'm never going to get all of these. There's some really specific ones, and Gears of War is no stranger to weird achievements. But like I said, I have a video coming at some point. I think it's been a bit of a busy.
I'm looking forward to that.
Couple of months. So that's about achievements and stuff like that. Cool. Right, that's it for the cog hole. Let's get into the main reason today. The main event of this episode. So when we started this show, the podcast, we did say at some point we would do episodes that covered Gears likes, because there's quite a few of them out there. Some of them are more Gears like than others. And I played this in January, and I was like, right, I think we just need to cover it. I'm going to see if the guys are interested. David was going to. He's unable to join us. He hasn't had time really to fit it in.
I would put money on it being rugby related.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned rugby. Get to that in a minute. But yes, let me just give, for those who don't know, let's give a little primer on the game, which I do have here. Right. So, yes, news is out the way. Yeah, time to dust off our diamond-encrusted skulls, cock our Glocks, and get revenge on those who tried to double-cross us when all we wanted to do was get paid for performing a concert in an unnamed, war-torn area of the Middle East. 50 Cent Blood on the Sand is a third-person cover shooter released in February 2009 for Xbox 360 and PS3 consoles, developed by British video game studio Swordfish Studios and published by THQ. Swordfish had previously worked on, and this is a wild jump, World Championship Rugby and Brian Lara Cricket 2004, both for the PlayStation 2, while also being responsible for 2005's first-person shooter Cold Winter. Have you ever played Cold Winter?
No, but it's on my CEX wish list because it's supposed to be quite good, actually.
Okay, yeah, I might have to check that out.
It's like £2.50 or something.
Oh, can't go wrong. Blood on the Sand is a follow-up to 2005's 50 Cent Bulletproof, another game which I do have on PS2 and PSP, with an arcade-style approach to shooter gameplay, a ridiculous plot, and voice work from Mr. Curtis Jackson and the G Unit themselves, plus 40 official songs, as well as an optional original soundtrack produced by Swizz Beatz.
40?
The game received fairly mixed reviews at launch, with scores ranging between 7s and 8s. Praise was given to the wild and fun gameplay, but criticism was given to the repetitive nature and nonsense story. In Charlie Brooker's Games Wipe, Brooker gave the game a negative review, quoting the game and saying, "Where'd she go? That bitch took my skull. That's the entire storyline." And later stated, there are plenty of atrocious cutscenes detailing a story that's impossible to care about, during which 50 Cent scowls a lot and generally behaves like a prick. Which, is a good summary there. And I love Charlie Brooker. He may have been overtly harsh.
I love Charlie Brooker.
I think there's a couple of things to love about this game, but he's not wrong about the story there. So that's the primer for the game. Now, Alex, before we talk like overall gameplay and stuff and impressions of the game, my first question, and I think this is important because I think this has an impact on your experience of the game. How would you describe your fandom when it comes to 50 Cent and his now 20-year presence in the world of music, movies, and of course high-quality video games?
Okay, well,
are you a 50 Cent fan?
I would say I am not a 50 Cent fan. I find him quite risible. My sister, my younger sister, was at least a very big 50 Cent fan, and she knew that I was into hip hop in a way, and tried to foist several of his albums on me as presents. So I was not happy about that. I've never really respected his rapping ability. I've always found him quite mumbly and quiet, like he wasn't in the rap game because he was good at rapping. He was in the rap game because he was good at not being killed by being shot, and that was respected. If that is what you respect, then that's fine. It certainly plays a part in this game, where at some point he says something like, "Bitch didn't realize I was bulletproof" or something. I can't remember exactly what he says.
Yeah.
So, do I hate 50 Cent for his music? No. Do I hate him because he's been to prison for running drugs and shooting people and assaulting his own fans? And did he recently, do I hate him because he was recently in a crypto scammers video? Yes, I think I do hate him for
Oh, was
that.
he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So probably one of my favourite things about this, what can only be described as a masturbation fantasy masquerading as a video game, was when he got killed. When I was able to get 50 Cent shot a lot and it actually made him die, I was quite happy about that.
I fucking love 50 Cent. Now,
do you?
through I don't disagree with what you said. He's not the greatest rapper of all time. Like, he's not. Like, and I'm a huge hip hop fan. Like, he's not going to make my top 20 of greatest rappers or anything like that.
Rightly so.
When he first came on the scene, I was hardcore into like my heavy metal and my punk, and I loved hip hop as well. And I'd always loved hip hop growing up. I think there was something about the cinematic gangster bravado. I mean, he's kind of one of the last ones from that era where there was. They
don't really talk about how much they disrespect women and homosexuals that much anymore, do they? But they did when he was around.
Exactly. It was sort of that last sort of group of rappers, I suppose. But when he came out, I suppose I was 16 or 15 or something. So I loved him and I loved the albums. I mean, I think he's had multiple albums. I can't say I've listened to really anything past like those first 2 albums or something like that. Yeah. What he's done, and what I would say I have a lot of time for and respect for him, is he is a very, very shrewd businessman, and he's put himself in these positions, like I said, in movies and music, and like stupid things like buying stock in vitamin water, which then netted him like almost $1 billion because Coca-Cola bought the company and stuff like that. So he's a very shrewd businessman.
Which is funny because in the game, a lot of people talk to him and say, "I'm a businessman" or something. I did find that funny, the amount of people who introduce themselves as, "I'm not a killer, I'm a businessman," and then he seems to respect that because that's how he rolls.
That's it, and that is him. I have seen 50 Cent live in concert again when I was
I think my sister has as well.
16 or something. He came to Bournemouth, which was funny.
It is very funny.
That was the first gig I ever went to where people were being patted down on the way in as well, which was a wild thing for me to see. Like, because obviously, for those that don't know, I live in Dorset, which is not necessarily known for its gun crime. But I'd been to plenty of gigs, but that were straight walk in, no problem. We went to see 50 Cent and there were metal detectors and every single person was being patted down. And I just thought, I don't know, it felt like, it's not really dangerous to go and see 50 Cent, but they took it very seriously at the Bournemouth.
Well, if somebody throws a water bottle at him, it is.
Yeah.
Because then he'll assault you and go do some probation.
Yeah, like, not necessarily high quality hip hop, but some absolute bangers that I will happily indulge in from the early days. But yeah, so
that Justin Timberlake song is one of my favourites of his. Was it AO
Technology? AO Technology, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that and Laughing Straight to the Bank. I worked at a bank and I worked with a guy who was a big fan of 50 Cent as well.
Yeah,
so we did enjoy going ha 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 on a lot of our bank shifts. Yeah. So that I've enjoyed him for that.
Yeah, he's an absolute menace online. Something I just wanted to point out because I follow him on Instagram. He will often just give abuse to fellow rappers or movie stars. He really is constantly.
Apparently, his ex-wife as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Apparently, they have a lot of fights on Instagram too.
He goes at Floyd Mayweather a lot, but what he does. in all of 50 Cent's posts on social media, he'll say whatever he says. He always ends his caption with hashtags and adverts for like his vodka and his products that he's trying to sell. So it doesn't matter what he's talking about, completely unrelated. He always bookends it with like buy this cognac or whatever it is. So
yeah, it's cognac, isn't it?
Yeah.
But apparently he's teetotal these days, so he doesn't even drink it.
How funny.
The same way he didn't do coke when he was selling it.
Yeah. So I appreciate the there's parts I appreciate about him, but I understand, he's a bit of a
Bit of a wanker.
Yeah. But what I think, like I say, your fandom, like the music, which I'll touch on in a minute, obviously is a big part of this game, and like I can quite enjoy playing the game. It's just like, just hear a few tracks. It sort of adds to the experience. But so
did you say there was 40 songs on the soundtrack?
40 songs, and he recorded.
I swear I was hearing so many. I mean, this game took me 3 hours, just over 3 hours to finish, and I swear I heard so many repeated. You'd think 40 songs would last 3 hours.
Did you? So
I kept hearing "When the guns come out" over and over again. It's like, I've heard this one, and yes, the guns are always out.
I think you have to buy them from the shop the in-game shop. You don't spend real money. Yeah. You earn in-game money. And you unlock them.
That would have helped.
And there's a jukebox feature where I think you have to choose what songs
there
plays and stuff like that.
Because I was going to say to you, like, how the hell has he not got like his entire music catalogue?
Yeah.
If this is his game, I'm hearing like 8 songs on repeat.
Yeah.
But that's because I didn't look into it enough, because the desire to buy more 50 Cent music, even virtually, was not high on my list of priorities.
Yes, I'm talking a little bit more about the music in a bit, but no, I thought that might be your answer. I wanted to see what where you stood on the 50 Cent fandom.
I did. There was a great line in one of the songs that I kept hearing where he said something about it smells like prostitution or something like this place is this place is shit. It smells like prostitution. What does that smell like, sir?
Yeah, he definitely has a range of music. Right, but what was I going to say? So but okay. Before we jump into some other gameplay thoughts and stuff, just overall or first impressions as well. Blood on the Sand. Had you heard of this game before this podcast, and what's your sort of general impression going into it?
I had heard of it, chiefly through one of the more legendary Zero Punctuation videos that I rewatched, and was saddened to find that it was like 12 years old. I mean, so's the game, I guess. That video still holds up. That's still funny. I think I probably just saw it and was immediately cynical, thinking like 50 Cent has decided to make his own game where he gets to shoot loads of people and get the girl and all this kind of stuff, which is like proper 15-year-old fantasy. Yeah. But I mean, that's mostly being a rapper anyway, isn't it? So I didn't. It's had a bit of a renaissance recently, which probably explains why those watching the video, when they saw Kelsey hold the game up, the £22 price sticker on there, probably speaks to the fact that people are wanting to buy this game again now, because they think they found out that actually it plays pretty well. So I didn't probably give it any credit for that at the time. I probably just thought, it's just a 50 Cent game. Why the hell would I ever play that? Yeah. That's just dumb. Yeah. It is dumb. I was right.
It's definitely dumb.
It's still a pretty good game.
Now, I had played Bulletproof, which was the first video
That's
game.
Supposed to be awful.
And that is bad. Yeah, it's not. It's borderline unplayable. It's so clunky and stuff like that. It's got Eminem and Dr. Dre in it as characters as well. And I think
that would be good
at the time on the original Xbox, and it was more like, it was just cool to just hear them voicing the characters and hear music. But I never finished the game. I have it now. I have copies on PS2, and I have the PSP version, which I got because it is. It's very different to the console versions. When PSP used to do that, it wasn't just like, it's not a shrunk down version. They would completely sort of revamp sections. So the PSP version's actually not bad, but the console version wasn't good. So I remember when I saw that this had come out, I was like, oh, for God's sake, like there's another one of these things that he's doing. It's effectively like an advert for himself, Is
the first one the same developer and publisher? Is it them again? Is it THQ both times?
No, it might be THQ. Actually, that is a good question. I don't have it.
Because I wonder if he just went back to the same lads in Birmingham, and they were like, "All right, Finny, we've got another game coming up for you." Which again makes me laugh so much to think that like how disconnected from the life of a New York gangster can a game studio in Birmingham working under THQ be?
Yeah. So this,
which I guess shows in the script.
High Voltage Software genuine games, yeah, I don't. Yeah, not.
I think if you name yourself Genuine Games, that sounds like you're trying to prove something that might not be true.
Yeah, it was published by
genuine.
Published by Vivendi. Yeah, and yeah, that was a, you know, as I said, I guess that came out maybe at the height of my 50 Cent fandom. Bulletproof. I was like, oh, cool, a video game. Let's check this out. It's like, this is not a good video game. And I remember when this one launched, I did not play it. I just thought, I just thought it's probably another self-indulgent, badly playing video game, and yeah, not interested. So it definitely disappeared off my radar. And then I heard, like you said, in sort of recent years, that it just kind of crept back into conversations as a hidden gem and as a game. It's like, actually, it as ridiculous as it is, it does function okay, and it's worth playing, and it's fun and ridiculous. So I heard, I think it may have been John Linneman on Digital Foundry did it in one of his compilation videos. He was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the game, through its weirdness, is actually quite fun to play, and is, I think, I will mention again in a minute, it just, playing it today is, yes, this very much feels like an Xbox 360 game of its time.
Good God.
Yeah.
Looks like it too.
Yeah.
This is the brownest of all the brown generation games.
Yep. So yeah, it's, and I had vouchers at Christmas, and I got a few games with it, and this was one of them in CEX, and I thought, right, I'm going to finally have a look and see what all this talk is about, and if it is as good or as bad as they say. And it's absolutely a very mixed bag. Let's talk about specifically gameplay. Gameplay highs and lows. Is there anything you did enjoy? Anything you really hated? Let me know.
Excuse me. I did enjoy the shooting in this game.
Yeah.
I think there's a good selection of guns that you can unlock as you go through it. So there is variety in how you can play that there, and I did enjoy unlocking them and trying out new things, except one where I got really excited, and then it was like an assault rifle that ended up with a first person scope on it that it's just not necessary at all. There's lots of explosions going on as well. I mean, on Series X, obviously I didn't put this in a 360, but on Series X, I didn't really see any performance issues with it. It's been upgraded nicely, runs 60 FPS without any slowdown or frame drops. I thought the score and the challenge mechanics, that was a cool idea. The game is pretty soulless. It's an arcade shooter, and if you're going to have something like that, then just go all in on the arcade style top score stuff. Really, like, no issue with that at all. I enjoyed the slow-mo function, and I also enjoyed
Gangsta Vision.
Gangsta Vision, yes.
Very.
Is that how he sees everything?
Yeah. Very Max Payne, Red Dead Redemption. Yeah. That's one of my favourite parts about the game.
Yeah, I never worked out how you got the explosive rounds, but I enjoyed those too, especially in slow motion. But I could not figure out what I was doing to unlock those fire bullet things. Yeah. Did you?
No.
Just kill people, I guess. I didn't really do anything else.
Yeah, it just sometimes happened.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate the arcade nature of it, and like you say, it's very much those little mini objectives where it's like, kill these 4 shotgunners within.
I didn't notice
seconds.
them at the early part of the game, and then I was
there
suddenly realizing I was constantly failing whatever the hell was going on.
Yeah, there's so much on the screen all the time. The
there
is a bit crazy. But I think, like, going into it, my expectations, they were not high, and so they were really low. And I think because it functioned well, and that arcade, you know, the numbers rolling over, it did something for me. And, you know, it is playable, and you can. It reminded me, weirdly, the shooting reminded me a little bit of Alan Wake, the original. And I don't know if that's just because I played it not long ago, but it's got that sort of. You don't need to be super precise. It's just kind of more about moving the whole camera. It's a weird experience I had with it, but
it was because it almost seems to snap auto aim ish, like some sort of semi auto aim, but the actual, like, in, you know, precise aiming is quite sensitive. So I found that, like, shooting guys, I was fine with that, but if I ever had to shoot those targets, I was always getting it like way too far up or down. It's really twitchy and fast because I guess, again, it's trying to be an arcade shooter.
So for those that haven't played it, like, I can describe it to you. it does play very similarly to Gears of War. It feels almost like you're playing a beta version of Gears of War. You've got the sort of, third person shooter that has the roll from Gears of War where, you hit A and you roll forward. You can't roadie run, but you can go into cover, and it encourages you to go behind cover and behind barricades and shoot round corners and stuff like that, because you're effectively moving from section to section, picking off 5 to 10, 20 enemies, and then you move to the next section, smashing crates along the way, picking up money, like you said, trying to shoot targets and do side objectives,
finding posters of himself,
and the fellow G Unit members.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's something. There's something that as soon as within the first 20 minutes, I was like, okay, I see what's going on here, but I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah. And I also played it on hard as well, because I did.
Oh well, it may have taken you longer than it did me then. Yeah, I was surprised how quickly I was smashing through it.
I did a bit of googling beforehand, and it said you will smash through the game easy. Play it on hard, and it actually is achievable on hard to finish, but it just makes it a bit more. Yeah, it rather than just a breeze walkthrough, because I played this actually about a month ago, just to be honest, but then I played it again. I played some more of it last night and this morning, and I lowered the difficulty to normal, and I wasn't dying. I was just walking through everything really easily. So hard definitely added a bit more of a challenge to it. But as I said, it did grab me. I was like, this is kind of fun, and I just wondered if through 2023 was a busy year of video games, lots of big video games. Sometimes it is nice to take a little step back and just play like like a stupid shooter. And as I said, this was like, I'm playing an Xbox 360 game right now, and it's running well, like you said. It's got the frame rate boost, and I liked that. So the arcade nature I liked, and I don't know if you noticed this, but it encourages you to do taunts, and every time you taunt,
I didn't even figure out what the button was to do that.
So if you click in the left analog stick, he'll say like, you have to do this after you've killed an enemy, and 50 will just say things like, you fucked up now, or you fucking with the best, or step up, you pussy, and stuff like that. But
he kept calling people pussies a lot, didn't he, when he was throwing a grenade? Eat this grenade, pussies. Okay, mate.
But the point is, as you're playing, like you rack up score with every kill, or hitting the mini objectives, killing them within a certain amount of time. If you taunt after every kill, it instantly gives you a 25% boost to your score as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ! That's why I kept getting bronze on every bloody level.
Yeah, it's because that's what I was going to get to. Then you finish each chapter or the end of the level, and you get it's bronze, silver, or gold your score, and it's like, it reminded me, of Gears of War Judgment. Exactly the same thing. You're racking up score.
Me too.
And it gives you
the one Gears game we've done on here as well. Yeah,
it gives you the star rating at the end, and I just kind of I instantly knew what I was playing was kind of dumb, but I wanted some dumb, I think, while I was playing it. So I was having fun, and I messaged you guys, and I was like, look, this is ridiculous, but I am having fun, and I think we need to cover it for the show. It also some actual just to be honest, because it's like, it was fun. There's some really bad stuff. The helicopter sections where you're trying to take down the helicopter from the ground.
In the helicopter I enjoyed.
In the helicopter,
right. Every fucking boss is a helicopter fight. It's pathetic.
And from the ground, trying to take out those helicopters, especially on hard, they were the times where I was dying like 20 times, and I started to sort of not have as much fun. And it's not because it was a challenge, it's just because it's clunky as hell. And I was reading about this.
It's impossible to hit them. They keep like twitch dodging, strafing to the side all the time. And there's no lock-on rocket launcher that you can get.
You have to lead the shots and just hope for the fucking best, and hope you get through it. And I read that apparently the developers were showing builds of the game to 50 Cent and his son, and his son made a very late request to say you need to add helicopter fights in it, and so they were shoehorned in right at the end. Which completely
no shit, really?
It completely explains why they're so terrible, I think.
So I think the only boss that's not in a helicopter is Anwar, who you just gun down in a room after he's run away for a bit. Which I guess would technically happen if you're just fighting like old or snivelling little shitty men. You will just quite easily kill them. So they all have a helicopter that's never been seen until they get in it.
Yeah, that battle with Anwar was what an anticlimax that was. His goons
runs away.
His goons gave me more trouble than him. I just finished him
Oh, he
off.
didn't even shoot me. He was cowering in a room when I shot him.
Yeah. So so the gameplay is wild. It's very similar to Gears of War, as I said, but it's not as not as refined, I was going to say.
Yeah, the AI certainly is not. I mean, the AI in Gears of War, at times, they are just running at you, but they're supposed to because they're dumb monsters. But the AI in this game was a whole new level of shit.
They
They either snap to cover and go up and down like a whack-a-mole, or they run seemingly like they're lost. Like, a lot of the times the game will give you that danger icon when it will say, like, look, some guys are going to come over this fence, and you could just stand in front of a fence and shoot them all as they climbed over it really slowly, or they'd all just funnel through a door and run at you. Yeah. Very, very weird.
Yeah, and you could tell it's like, you see where the budget sort of hinders them. Like you said, the enemies will run slowly to their position, generally stay there, and just pop up and down.
Or they don't even run at all, and they're just like, I was on a balcony, and that's where I'll stay until you kill me.
Yeah. So... yeah, it feels like, I say arcade nature. Yeah, it could be like a box in an arcade, a machine in an arcade where you go, and it is very much on rails, and because the enemies just stay where they are and you just point and shoot and that's it. So it's only a slight step up from that. So yes, there is janky shit and some of the AI is terrible. What I do appreciate is your co-op partner does get themselves up, like because they can get like downed like in Gears of War, where you then have to run over and pick them up. But before I played the game again, I was just reading about it, and it said, oh, don't worry, if they get knocked down, just leave them, because they just get up like 30 seconds later. So that's good.
If you kill all the guys, they get up.
Yeah. So that was fine. I feel like so the game does heavily encourage that co-op online play, and we didn't play this together, but I kind of feel
I think
like
we'd have enjoyed it more if we did.
Yes, I think we should have, and I feel like that is an element of this game that I haven't experienced that I would have liked to, or certainly at the time. It's because there's something about that, like I say, silly shooter nature of it that is just infinitely more fun when I guess you're doing it with a buddy. So
is it still possible?
I think so, because you have to log in, and it says you can have an open game and stuff like that. So everything...
Oh, he did ask me that. Yeah, you're right.
Everything looks... I pressed open game to see if anybody would randomly join. No one did, shockingly. But yeah, so
just like Gears Judgment again.
Yeah. So it encourages co-op online multiplayer. Which I can see
because it's an Xbox 360 game.
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah. So gameplay wise, don't expect as good of Gears of War. It has the bones of a Gears of War game and an arcade on rails shooter, and you're just supposed to rack up as much money as possible, upgrade your weapons, and just kind of blast your way through level to level. Any more thoughts on gameplay before I get to some of the story and presentation?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I will say the helicopter, the final boss. Did you manage to finish it? That final helicopter.
Final helicopter.
Yeah. So there's the
final boss for me was just driving in a car.
Sorry. Yeah. The final is driving the car. So before that is the helicopter battle, isn't it? So that is the one.
Yeah.
Playing on hard, I nearly did tap out of the game, because obviously you've got to shoot the helicopter at different stages, and then between those stages you're ambushed by enemies as well, and on hard it can be very difficult to find health packs and medipacks, and there is no checkpoint, so this whole thing could take you on hard. I might be playing for 35 minutes and get to that final stage, and some twat just comes out a door and you don't know where they are. You take one bullet and that's it, you're dead, and you have to do the whole thing again. So I nearly didn't finish the game, but I persisted and managed to get through, and what an achievement that was.
Because as we said, that they are so hard to hit those helicopters, even with the, what do you call it? What's it called?
Gangsta vision. Yeah,
that doesn't help really.
Yeah, that's not me.
I did get the best. I did get the best rocket launcher.
Yeah.
by that point, which does fire a lot faster than the other one, which just seems to like, float off slowly in the air and never ever hit anything.
Yeah.
So the faster rocket launcher definitely helped that final fight. And I guess because I wasn't playing it on an actual difficulty setting, I was just playing it on baby mode or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, most of the game was a breeze, but those helicopter battles, they were absolute bullshit.
Just every boss has a helicopter.
Yeah.
But then if you get a child to design it, then that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello, child. What would you like in this game?
Yeah.
And we'll do it.
All thanks to 50 Cent's son. Right. So, yes, on to story presentation, highs and lows. So, yes, the game is set in an urban war zone in an unnamed Middle Eastern country. The plot basically is, so 50 Cent and G-Unit have been hired to play a rap concert, which they do, and then after the concert, the promoter, Anwar, is unable to pay them the $10 million that he promised, and he relents after being threatened. However, instead of cash, he gives them a diamond and pearl encrusted human skull. This is then stolen by a paramilitary group led by the terrorist Saeed Kamal and his right-hand woman Layla.
For a bit.
Yeah. 50 Cent, with the help of selected G-Unit members, decides to get it back at any cost, and soon they find out there is a much bigger
It instantly becomes the most coveted thing he's ever had in his entire life.
Yeah.
Worth murdering for over and over again.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, like, that's the plot. You want to get this skull back after not being paid for your concert, and you're sort of murdering people along the way. Now, obviously...
Just like Uncharted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The gangster version of Uncharted. Absolutely nonsense. The script is really bad. What I will say, though, and I have to be honest, the performances are superb. I think the enthusiasm, and listen, the enthusiasm from the rappers, from 50 Cent, from Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, all of them are absolutely just, it's all hammed up like to high heaven, but they're having a blast. And then in this game, there's like, in some of the sub characters, there's high quality acting talent because
Omid Jalili's in this, for fuck's sake.
Omid Jalili, Lance Reddick's in it as well, which is unbelievable
for a few minutes.
Yeah, there's a few. Some of the other sub characters are not necessarily massively famous actors, but they're experienced TV actors that have done a lot of TV. Sometimes with video games, it's very much exclusively voice actors who have never really done on-screen work. So what this game does. It tries to give a cinematic nature to those cutscenes, and I think the performances make it hilariously enjoyable because it is utter nonsense. But performances from even 50 Cent, and it's just like
I wouldn't have stretched to that.
He's loving that he's the star of his game. There's no what's the word?
Talent.
I think you'd expect it to be far more wooden than it is, and I thought
it really was wooden. That's how I was. I thought I was sitting there. In my notes, I've written 50 Cent has less acting talent than Peppa Pig's child actors, and he has a vocabulary of about 10 words, with more than a third of those being swear words.
I mean, you're not massively wrong, but I just think it's something about the enthusiasm behind it. Like, there's so to sidetrack, there's like a couple of weird random moments where Lloyd Banks will start commenting on like the ancient history of the area. Or something like that.
Fuck's sake, yeah, he does. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And it's just
he just laughs at him.
Yeah, he's like basically taking the piss out of him.
Square.
But yeah,
for knowing things.
Yeah, stuff like that I loved. And yeah, I mean, broadly, like, I think the cutscenes are good. I think it's made to look
they're short.
Yeah, they're short, and it's made to look like they're above average in the type of thing you would get in a video game like this. And I think because that's 50 Cent, he wants it to feel it's like my movie, my gangster movie, but in a video game. So extra time has been taken for the cutscenes, which I did notice.
Well, for him and his G-Unit mates in the cutscenes, they got the face scans. It feels like anybody else, any other character, basically looks like they have suffered from and are currently suffering a relapse of a stroke.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. I was just going to say, graphics. It's like, they're fine. The main characters, they've all got, all the budget's gone to them, and then the other people are generally. I mean, the enemies, a lot of them just look identical, but then
of course,
the side characters, look far more ropey. But yes, so I have a few more things to say, but take it away. Any thoughts on story and presentation? I know I see you didn't like the performances, but what do you think?
Well, I didn't dislike the people who can act. It was just 50 Cent that I just thought, like, man alive, just get a few lessons. Ask Omid Jalili how to actually be angry. I did find how quickly they basically have anybody it was most of the cutscenes was just like 50 just shouting at whoever it was who had his skull at that point to give it back, and then it would end. Like all the cutscenes just seemed to end that way. Like, fuck, so I need to go get my skull back off of. I can't remember who it was, because doesn't the like the story doesn't really make a massive amount of sense, despite it being as basic as you described. It really is just greedy man gets expensive things stolen by greedier men until he kills enough people to get it back. But why does the bad guy get killed like halfway through and then be replaced by some like American oil tycoon? Where did that guy come from?
Is he? So that's the harvester, right? So there is a mention to him in one of those first cutscenes when 50 Cent is leaving the club. He's in the car with the promoter and he says, oh yeah, they'll even sell like human organs or something. And he's like,
oh yeah.
And he's like, you don't want to meet that guy. So there is a reference to him. That's who he is. He's basically cuts you up.
Because he's like, that's when he's saying like, you can get anything here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Yeah, guns. What, anything? Yeah, cocaine. What, anything? Yeah, human organs. Anything. I'm serious.
Yeah. So
he gets told not to trust anyone, yet he continually trusts everyone. It kind of acts a bit surly and prickish towards people, but mostly trusts everybody until they immediately screw him over, and then he says, I need to get my fucking skull back, and then he gets in a car and drives off.
Yeah. I think it's
brilliant.
The game's poor attempt at twists and turns, where, like you say, it just replaces.
Don't trust that woman.
Yeah, replaces each person with somebody else, and it's not gripping. I need to sort of underline what I'm saying. Like you say, I know it's nonsense, but there's something about playing it. I was like, they've put more effort into this than they had any right to. I think they've tried, and 50 Cent is someone who's gone on to have a very successful run of TV shows in Power and the spin-offs from it as well, which is like highly rated and stuff, which he is in as well, unsurprisingly. But and
he doesn't want to be a part of a project that doesn't include himself.
Yeah, he's a producer, and they are very well made. And I think, despite the ropiness and despite the fact that it is just an advert for himself, I was like, he's put more effort into. I think more effort might have gone into this than any video game that was like licensed from like a pop star or something like that. If you think of, there's a few of them out there. The Michael Jackson game, like the Spice Girls game and stuff, and it's just like, no, he took it seriously because he saw it as an opportunity to make some money. It was a commercial failure, this game, so he didn't. I don't think.
Was it?
It was, although the reviews were mixed. It
took a bath on it.
It was a commercial failure, but I did notice that there was attempts to make it somewhat a slight step up in terms of its cinematic nature, despite how nonsense the story was.
I certainly respect his venture into the games industry more than, say, Soldier Boys, for example.
Exactly.
There is that. But I think the worst part, other than the story just being silly and the cutscenes being little more than just people shouting and swearing at each other, like I said earlier on, just like the blandness of the environment. Like, not only were the environments bland and ugly to look at and just basically brown and yellow, with some red barrels every now and again and some grey buildings, that it felt like everywhere you went, 50 Cent or one of his G-Unit blokes would say how much of a shithole it was. It's just kind of like, you understand then how bad this game looks and how uninteresting every environment is, because you're actively having your character say, oh man, this is a shithole. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have been blood on the jungle or somewhere nice to look at? Why does it have to be a fucking desert?
Maybe we'd have got that if it wasn't such a commercial failure.
Maybe.
Yeah, it has
blood on the Las Vegas Strip or something. I don't know.
That visual side. Yeah, you're right. And I mean that ties into, I guess, sort of tropes and cliches it has that are, feel like they're from like a 90s TV movie, which is just like, oh yes, we're in a rundown Middle Eastern country and stuff like, without naming it. So it sort of walks that line, and there's plenty of sexism in it as well. That's straight,
well, of course there is.
the scene I'd struggled to control my laughter. There's a scene towards the end with Layla, the woman who also double crosses 50 Cent in the end. Spoiler. They have a kiss in the helicopter, and it's just like comes out of nowhere, and it's so awkward and so just like, even by 2009 standards, it's just like, this is a stretch, and it was painful to watch. But yeah, it felt like that was them trying to be progressive, because she grabs and kisses him, and then he says, like, "Oh, that's my kind of girl." Yeah.
So like, hey, well done, women's rights, 50. Well done.
It didn't work, because then, I mean, he's obviously calling her a bitch, like 3 minutes later,
immediately.
And stuff
like
that. So
fuck's sake.
Visually, like I say, it's very much a that yellow and brown 360 game. You just have to look at the front cover to see that, similar.
All the word sand in the name, that'll do it. It's a sandy game.
Yeah, there's nothing like beyond, like I say, my enjoyment of some fairly well polished cutscenes. The environments are quite repetitive, and I didn't mention this about the gameplay, but that's one of the things I suppose I enjoyed about it less. It is very much the same going through, apart from there's a couple of driving sections which mix
God, they
up.
Suck.
But you can.
When you were playing it, did it say that the accelerate button was the same as the shoot the gun button for you as well? I'm assuming that was to be like, it's supposed to be instructions for two players, so that you both know that if you're driving, the button is this, and if you're shooting. But I'm assuming the AI guy does the shooting if I'm driving. That's not me, because I kept dying from people shooting me from behind because the guy wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, that was.
I couldn't even see the people who were shooting me, and that was on the final boss. Actually, the night I played it, I think I started about 9 and it got to about midnight, and I was doing that driving bit, and someone shot me from behind that I couldn't see, and the guy didn't shoot back. So I went to bed, picked it up the next day, and then did the driving section again, and the game ended. I thought, oh shit, if I'd have got another 10 minutes last night, I'd have done it.
Yeah.
But
annoyingly, you can't do the most fun part, which is be the gunner, unless you are player 2, which is which is a pain, because that's the only other way it really mixes it up. It's the same place to place, through area to area, shooting, helicopter battle. Oh, but you're driving for a bit now, and it's just sort of rinse and repeat.
You do get to be a helicopter gunner, as I said, which was the on rails bit that was decent. Absolutely
nuts, just mowing down hundreds and hundreds of people. And again, I was smiling. I was like, this is fun. Like, sometimes it's nice to just switch off and do that. So, but yes, back to kind of like presentation and story. It does run. It runs fine. No crashes and anything like that, which I will mention. But it's not a visual masterpiece. It's just, it feels like it feels like 50 Cent was like, yes, I need to look as good as possible in this game. All the money's gone into the cutscenes and him. And I sort of loved the unashamedness about that. I don't know. Like, I think this is the thing. Like, I can look at this and say, as a video game, it's like, would I recommend it to someone? It depends, because it depends what you're looking for. Like, I can't say that it's not a game that I'm going to really seriously try to critically review. It's a game that it's just within the context of itself that gave me something that I suppose I enjoyed. And I don't want to jump the gun and get to concluding thoughts here, but presentation wise and sound wise, visuals are sort of fine, but sound is good. It's all, like I say, there are those songs, even though you had to suffer the same few over and over again.
That's my kind of on me, I guess.
From somebody who doesn't mind a bit of 2000s hip-hop, the original soundtrack that was produced by Swizz Beatz, if you turn off the songs and just listen to the soundtrack, it's good and
Oh man,
yeah.
I didn't know. That's another thing I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to have heard it without 50 Cent rapping on it.
Yeah, and it's just more of an atmospheric hip hop soundtrack, like, deep bass type thing. And it's like, this is what I'm talking about, where there's parts of this game where effort has been made, and they've obviously gone to Swiss Beats. Swiss Beats is a big time hip hop producer, and they're like, look, we need a soundtrack for this video game. He's taken it. He was probably paid handsomely, but like, this is where most of the money's gone, I suppose. But he's taken it seriously as a project to produce a soundtrack for, and it's not bad, So I have to give props to that sort of thing.
Was that the only original music for the game, or did 50 Cent record some original songs?
He recorded some original songs for the game, which I mean, whether they were just like album cut-offs or something, I don't know.
Oh yeah, don't know.
But yeah, the original soundtrack, like I say, was produced for the game as well, and it was decent. And I just think within the context
I
of,
wish I'd given that a go.
Within the context of, I'm playing this video game which stars a rapper, the situation is so nonsensical, but I'm sure 50 Cent took it very seriously, but for me it's like, this is tongue in cheek, it's campy, and I can enjoy it through that lens. So not too much more really to say about the story and presentation. Like I say, it's the theme is don't trust anyone. He trusts everyone. Gets double crossed like 5 times. Yeah, and is chasing a skull the entire game.
If you think the Gears of War series is all about like dudes being bros, then like play this, and your opinion of the Gears story will massively change.
Absolutely. Cool. Right, let's get to concluding thoughts then. Now, it's funny because I've just come off the back of listening to Video Game Hall of Fame, latest episode, which was 7 out of 10s. Now, for me, I think this would at least have got an honourable mention from me in that kind of category. Because obviously it was reviewed 7s and 8s. I think on Metacritic it's 71 or something like that. So it qualifies for that kind of thing. But, it's not the highest quality, but I feel like it is higher quality than it has any right to be for what it is for a video game starring a rapper. And I think
especially from that developer as well, to be fair.
Yeah, this developer that had just done a couple of sports games and a first person shooter. I think all the bravado of like a cinematic gangster action movie that 50 Cent wants to do, and like from his body of work of music and movies and TV shows, he's tried to put it on display in this game. It was playing it was just, like I say, a welcome step back for me to like a 360 era game that is kind of fun, kind of stupid. And yeah, I can't hate on it too much despite the nonsense. And I think 7 out of 10 is like a good, it's fair because it's like I say, it's better than it has any right to be. Now, would I rate it 7 out? I don't really like to rate things out of 10. I generally in the past have done things out of 5 on this show. For me, it's like it's like I could give it a 2.5 out of 5, but then it's
I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, it's a 2 out of 5, that sort of thing. But yeah, do you have any concluding thoughts? Would you recommend this to 50 Cent fans or gaming fans? What's your final thoughts on Blood on the Sand, Alex?
I probably would recommend it to 50 Cent fans. I think that's the only people I would probably recommend it to.
Yeah, because
it does lack originality. It is really not nice to look at. The main character, as I said earlier, is a bit of a wanker and is a wanker in the game. Doesn't it adds arcade mechanics to it, but it doesn't really add anything new or interesting. The story doesn't make any sense. But it does have passable mechanics and shooting that you can't hate the shooting in it because it is perfectly solid.
Yeah.
There's just so many better games to play than this if you're going to go back and do something retro. And I think for the price that it is now, that is too much.
Yeah.
If I'd have paid 50, 60 quid for this and beat it in 3 hours, I'd have been fuming.
Yeah.
This was a proper blockbuster rental game for a weekend all day long. So I think for some reason the price has gone up is not a reason now to go get it. I think that should put you off paying like 22 quid for a 3 or 4 hour game, unless for some reason you're a massive 50 fan who's never played it, and you want to hear people call him Mr. Cent a lot. That was quite funny as well.
Mr. Cent, yeah.
Hello, Mr. Cent.
It's funny, isn't it, about the price, the power of YouTube videos and YouTubers. I think word starts
and of course
trickle out. And
CEX are like the arbiters of all the pricing of retro games in this country.
Yeah. So and like I say, I had vouchers. I picked it up, and even at 22 quid, I was like, whoa, I think that was like nearly half of my 50 quid vouchers, and I was like,
yeah,
I'll get it, I'll see, and because I did think
you'll get 18 quid back.
Yeah.
In vouchers, so you never know. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I'm just going to refer to the manual. So obviously, yeah, you didn't.
Yes, because I didn't get a fucking one in man.
You didn't get the manual, which obviously has the the controls, everything you'd expect. Has your very, very important section for notes for all your strategy.
Please write a note in there. Just write like Gears Intel podcast episode, whatever episode this is, and see if anybody, like, if you give it away, somebody comes and leaves a comment on YouTube. If you ever get this game from CEX in wherever the hell, where's your nearest CEX?
In Weymouth.
In Weymouth. Yeah. If you end up at Weymouth CEX and buy 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, and you saw a link to this podcast in there, and you're on YouTube, leave a comment.
Yeah,
and you'll be our special friend.
That would be wild.
Assuming you're going to get rid of it.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I've done all I can do with it, and I've replayed some sections to get some extra achievements. But after today, am I ever going to play this again? No. I mean, I've done it now. I've lived it.
Like I say, mine's already gone with the postie back to CEX.
You got 18 quid back. That's not bad. I want to pick up Lost Odyssey.
In voucher.
Lost Odyssey and stuff, which is like 3 quid, speaking of Hall of Fame. But yeah, I need to point this out just because this is hilarious. So
yeah, please.
There is
I need to hear this.
There's a section in here about G-Unit, and it's got bios, which are effectively mini interviews with Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, and DJ Who Kid. And so, here, let's start with Tony Yayo. So, born Jamaica, Queens, raised Jamaica, Queens. Who's your favourite rapper? Notorious B.I.G. Your favourite album?
Okay.
Ready to Die. What do you...
By
Notorious B.I.G.
Okay, right.
Yeah. What don't you like to do? Not working. What do you like to do? Make music. Your favourite place?
Hang on, I don't like to do not working, so he does like working. Okay.
Yeah. Favourite place? Hawaii. Who do you look up to? God. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Filthy rich. Greatest accomplishment? My first album selling gold while I was still under house arrest. And then we move on to Lloyd Banks. Born in Maryland, raised in Southside Jamaica, Queens. Favourite rapper? Notorious B.I.G. Favourite album? Life After Death. Notorious B.I.G. What don't you like to do? Pretend.
Like being a video game where I kill loads of people in the Middle East.
I am so glad you picked up on that, because I was just like, so you mean everything you've been doing in this video game? What? So yeah, fuck me. Maybe they
all the voice
there.
acting. Yeah.
What do you like?
Cutscenes were high quality because they were actual video footage, and we just didn't realise.
Yeah. What do you like to do? Make music. Favorite place? The recording studio. Who do you look up to? Also God. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? A legend. ... Greatest accomplishment? First week sales of my first album, Hunger for More, which is a good album, actually. I shout that out. The Hunger for More by Lloyd Banks. There's some bangers on there from 2000.
I only ever had Lloyd with me as my partner. I didn't have the other two.
I switched it up just to hear the voice acting and stuff like that.
Could you do that within game, or did you have to go back to the menu and start it?
From the main menu, when you load in, you basically effectively choose your loadout. We didn't mention that in gameplay, but there's pay phones. You spend money, get your weapons, choose your partner at the main menu screen, and all that. And then last but not least, we have DJ Who Kid, born Brooklyn, raised Queens Village, favorite rapper 50 Cent.
Thank you. Finally, one of them knows where their bread is buttered.
Yeah. Favorite album, Get Rich or Die Trying, which is the 50 Cent album. What don't you?
Is he on that?
Who Kid?
Off the top of your head.
He would have probably been involved in some of the production. Yeah.
Okay, right.
What don't you like to do? Wake up in the morning. what? Right. What? This is the one I don't understand, and maybe I'm just not urban enough. What do you like to do? Pizzle. Now, I'm usually up to it with, like, sort of up to date with all the slang and stuff, but pizzle? Piss? Like, what does that mean?
It does feel like it's going to be piss, but why does somebody like that?
What do you like to do? Pizzle. Can you type that into Urban Dictionary?
Slang for a pipe, generally of the type used to smoke the herbage.
There we go.
Yo, pass the pizzle, my nizzle, is what it says on Urban Dictionary.
Of course. Well, I feel like a right fucking nerd now.
Although Merriam-Webster says the meaning of pizzle is the penis of an animal.
Well, that's what... I've definitely said, I'm going for a pizzle in my life, meaning I'm going for a piss. But anyway.
Wow. Especially a bull. A whip made from a bull's pizzle. So he likes bull's dick.
Oh, dear.
Gutted.
Last couple of questions here. Favourite place? Thailand.
Interesting. Maybe there's a lot of bulls over there.
Who do you look up to? Obama. Who doesn't, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good man.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? In Haiti, broke. Okay.
He's going to live fast and die hard.
Greatest accomplishment, meeting Nelson Mandela. So, yeah.
Hey, well, fair play. It's pretty good.
You know, I only discovered that today, but I just obviously there's a recap of the story in here as well and stuff. But no interview with 50 Cent.
A sentence.
No profile on 50 Cent, which is a shame. But yeah, I learned something about every G Unit member there. I'm
just trying to see if any of these people have died.
Oh no, they're all still alive.
Are they?
Yeah, alive and well. Still world tour last year, from what I understand. Because I remember my brother pointed it out to me. They were on a world tour, and we'd considered going, but I was just like, nah. 50 Cent's got to be pushing 50, actual 50 now, right? He's got to be getting.
I mean, if he doesn't have a massive celebration when he turns 50,
yeah,
he's 48.
Yeah. Yeah, what a roller coaster of a ride. I'm glad we did it, because this is a game, like I say, that's been floating around for a while, but I've lived it now, lived and experienced blood on the sand.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, plugs, promotion, what's going on with your other shows? Alex, yeah.
So a winner is you. We are just about to start our March Movie Madness season for March.
Yes, you are, yeah.
Where we're mixing podcasts half movie, half game. So the first one is RoboCop plus RoboCop Rogue City. Mm-hmm. The second one will be Batman, and Batman Arkham Asylum. We may do one more if we have enough time to fit that in. You already mentioned Video Game Hall of Fame, which was 7 out of 10 games. That's quite recently out, but the poll has already ended, so the winner has already been decided.
Yep.
But the next one we're doing for that, which we have already recorded, is 1996 games. And I actually had my pick stolen from me, so I was really upset about that. I was forced to pick a game that's probably going to win, but I don't actually like all that much. But you'll have to listen to find out what game from 1996 I am referring to.
Sweet. And
lastly, Sega Force Mega magazine that I work on with the Video Game Hall of Fame guys. Issue 2 is currently up for sale. It's met the target, so it will definitely be put out to print. In those magazines, I have a section where I basically, there's issue 1. Yeah, there we go. I write about what Sega did basically in the after the Dreamcast died. So I'm trying to chronically chart what they did as a software-only third-party developer. So this issue 2 is talking about sort of mid to late 2001, with a focus mainly on Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube and Sonic Advance 2 for the GBA, which both came out on the same day at the end of December. So that's what I talked about in that one.
Yeah.
Next time I'm going to talk about Gun Valkyrie for issue 3.
Nice.
It's a little spoiler there.
Looking forward to that. I have ordered my issue. I also tipped you guys because I am so generous, and I just felt flush after playing 50 Cent Blood in the Sand and earning all that money. I was like, I'm going to give him a tip.
Stomping all those crates.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 style crates. Which I also enjoyed. What else? I have a new show, Sunday morning podcast, which I'm doing to just generally. I am, and I've made it clear on the show, I am almost done with Twitter. It's so painful now. Obviously, the Gears Intel Twitter I'm using and will continue to post on there. My personal Twitter account has generally become a place for me to, like I say, I log those games I'm playing, and then I will either just kind of shitpost a little bit, because it's not even really a great way to promote things. And I saw that you even had people asking you about Video Game Hall of Fame, like, can you do this poll somewhere else, because I hate Twitter. And you know, there is a bit of an exodus. It's a bit of a dumpster fire of a website. So I obviously love talking about games, and the other shows I do are very centric on a certain thing, you know, for good reason. But I just wanted a place that is basically a long form version of things I would put out on Twitter, just thoughts and opinions. And so I started to do that every Sunday morning. There's a couple of episodes out now. It's called the Gaming Aroma Podcast. Please do come and listen to that. I will put links to Alex's shows. Obviously, David is a part of A Winner Is You and writes for Sega Force Mega as well. Links and everything are always in the description. And yes, nothing else remains from us than to say, in the words of our AWOL comrade, if you liked what you heard today, and even if you didn't, please consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating on Spotify. Don't worry about Google Podcasts, because that's shutting down in a couple of weeks, which is really winds me up.
Who would have thought Google abandoning something they created?
Subscribe on YouTube, give the episode a like, all the things you're supposed to do on the internet that cost you 0 pennies but help us out in a big way. You can find us on Twitter at Gears_Intel. I am at K_D_B_ for now, and Alex is at SuperThrillix. And yes, as I said, all the other shows, links in the descriptions. Let us know what you thought of 50 Cent Blood on the Sand if you've played it. If you haven't, go to CEX and buy Alex's copy.
It's out there somewhere.
He's already sent back. Until next time, remember the fallen.